What was the best racing movie released in 2006? Wrong. It's The Little Cars in the Great Race, a 30-minute animated video translated from Portuguese about little cars in a great race. I found this while perusing IMDb's list of worst rated animated films, which also included a few that have been the subjects of some of my favorite YouTube videos. Also, my first video reviewing an animated film is the best performing on my channel so far, and I am not above low-hanging fruit. So let's get into it. Our main character is Cruz, who dreams of being a race car, but right now he's just a delivery boy. Car. At first I was confused because he and his boss, Mr. V, are both painted like taxis, and I was like, in a world filled with sentient cars, who would be taking a taxi? Car don't fit in the car. They also have another coworker who is like a combination VW bus and tow truck. His name is Lugnut, and he is my favorite character. Cruz and friends live in Raceopolis, which, despite sounding like a heavy-handed allegory in a bad young adult novel, is a city home to the annual big race. And we come to find out that Cruz's crush, a pink car named Coupe, kinda has a thing for racers.
Did someone say race? Ooh, that gets my motor going.
Let's just move on. So Cruz and Lugnut are on their way home from work, and Cruz is really sad. He's saying he's not good enough for Coupe and he'll never be a racer. And like an absolute king, Lugnut hypes his boy up and makes him do his daily affirmations.
Come on, I want to hear you say it. I'm Cruz, the real deal.
I'm Cruz and I'm the real deal.
This really bolsters Cruz's pride, and he's feeling a lot better, and then he's just like really horny for Coupe.
Oh, Lugnut. I can't stop thinking of her. Those fenders, that rear bumper, and those headlights. Oh, those headlights.
And I would criticize for continually trying to make me hot for a literal car, but Pixar gave its sexy sports car a tramp stamp, so I mean, it's par for the course, I guess. And this scene drags on and on. Literally 12% of the movie is this scene with this just endless background and like empty set kind of look. But long story short, Lugnut convinces Cruz to ask Coupe to go to the big race together. He also randomly sings Born to be Wild by Steppenwolf for some reason.
Get your motor running, head out on the highway.
It really does not make more sense with context. The dialogue in this movie is very repetitive and filled with awkward pauses and just in general very frustrating, but what kept me holding on were the puns. This movie is chock full of car-related turns of phrase.
Enough! My fan belt's in knots.
That car is a pain in the trunk.
Put the brakes on whatever you're doing and shift into gear.
And I love it. Now it's the next day and fans are crowded around a black race car named Wrangler, and they're all asking for his autograph, which he signs by skidding over the paper and leaving behind tire marks, which I thought was pretty clever, and it might be foreshadowing. I don't know, you'll just have to watch the rest of the video, I guess. We also get to see the champion, who is this orange race car, and we learn that he is the favorite to win because he's won for the last 5 years. Coupe shows up while Cruz is off buying tickets to ask her to the race when Wrangler swings by and tells her, nice headlights.
Hey, you dollface. Nice headlights.
Oh, hi. Thanks, I guess.
Hey!
Easy, buddy. I'm just talking to the lady here.
And just putting everything together with her and Lugnut's reactions, this is sexual harassment, no? This is the car equivalent of a man yelling nice tits in the street, right? She's understandably put off by this and a little cold to him.
You ever thought about speed dating?
Yes, but let's slow down.
But then he invites her to watch his trial run and she's like, that sounds cool. Yeah, I'll go to that. This just proves what I've been saying, dude. What have you been saying? If you're a high-value male, you don't have to be nice to females. For sure, it's actually a turnoff for most girls, bro. Yeah, because it makes it seem like you're compensating for something. Couldn't be me, bro. We are not compensating. So Cruz gets back with the tickets and realizes he's been sniped by a superior male specimen, and he sadly drops the tickets because he's too beta to compete. Wrangler sarcastically offers his autograph and runs the tickets over. Later, Coupe is watching the trials, and Wrangler finishes with the best time so far. But not so fast, because the champion runs his laps and gets an even better time by like 30 seconds. So fucking humiliated, Wrangler gets a little schemy look in his eye and implies that the champion might have to have an accident. I've never seen The Godfather, I don't. Was that a good accent? Is that what they say? Cruz is still sad that Coupe seems like she's out of his league.
A model like Coupe just doesn't go out with a model like me.
And thinks he might be able to move up the ranks with a sick new paint job. But unfortunately, he doesn't have the money for one.
But I've got no gas money. I'm running on empty. I'm broke.
Luckily, Lugnut is like, oh, I could paint you. And the next time we see Cruz, he looks exactly the same. I don't know the point of that scene. Well, I do, because it's foreshadowing, but it was a little ham-fisted if I do say so myself. And I do. Mr. V sends Cruz on a delivery, and then he tells Lugnut that the business is failing. He instructs Lugnut to go to the bank and take everything out of Mr. V's personal account and bring it all back to use for the business.
That money is our last chance. If you lose a penny, it's over. Kaput. Finished. It's goodbye delivery company. Hello junkyard.
I don't know why he can't just do a direct transfer to his business account. Is this like a tax loophole? Entrepreneurs, sound off in the comments how you evade the IRS. Mr. V says that Cruz is the best driver he's ever worked with and he would make a great racer if he ever got the chance. Wrangler sabotages the champion by pouring something into his gas pump, which is helpfully labeled Champ's Gas in Comic Sans. But as he departs, he spills some oil and leaves behind a very distinctive tire track. So now it's finally the day of the big race and the whole gang goes to watch. Remember how the champion has won the race for the last 5 years?
If I knew the champ was a sure thing to win, I would have bet all my money on him in the big race.
Mr. V.
Yeah, Lugnut reveals that when he was on the way back from the bank with all of Mr. V's savings, he bet every cent on the champion's team to win. Cut to the champion drinking his poisoned gas and immediately collapsing. I don't know what poison Wrangler put in there, but the champion is down for the count and cannot race. The announcer says if another racer doesn't step up to drive in his place, the champion's team will be disqualified. And this gives Cruz an idea. So Cruz literally begs to race in the champion's place.
I promise I won't let you down. Just give me a chance.
And the pit crew laughs at him, but eventually agree because they don't really have another option. Lugnut rolls up with a can of paint, and the next thing we know, Cruz is pulling up to the starting line painted to look like the champion. So yeah, that's what that scene was foreshadowing earlier.
You're gonna race against me? Son, eat my dust!
The race starts and Wrangler is in front immediately, but Cruz is passing cars left and right and catching up. And it's super suspenseful, except for when they show these really still, ominous shots of Mr. V and Coop just looking soulless and hollow.
All the racers coming up to the first curve. Looks like the new car is trapped between the wall and the racers. Oh no! Looks like he was almost hit but pulled away just before a smash up. Where did this new...
Finally, their souls return to their bodies. Their auto bodies. They discuss the stakes, which we already know. Literally all of his money is riding on this. But also, Mr. V does not think that it's Cruz on the track, which makes sense because they saw him like 5 minutes ago and he was yellow. But anyway, back to the race. Cruz and Wrangler are now neck and neck, and Cruz is starting to pull ahead, but Wrangler spits out some bubblegum on the track to slow him down. Admittedly, I don't watch racing, but are they allowed to do that? Is this just like Mario Kart rules? Do they have referees? Or can you just do anything? What the fuck? Is that allowed? Anyway, now Wrangler is ahead when he hits some tire spikes and spins out. But where did those come from? Did Cruz throw them? I think they're supposed to be Wrangler's own spikes, because at the beginning of the race, there were some weird shots of Wrangler's ass. Trunk. Wrangler's trunk. And then another racer spins out exactly like he just did. So I think maybe he was supposed to have thrown spikes, it just wasn't animated. I think this is supposed to be karma in action. Aw, no kitty. Finally, Cruz crosses the finish line and wins the big race. The champion speaks for like the first time in the whole movie and invites Cruz to race with his team and be his successor. And Cruz says no, because he doesn't want to leave his job. This proves how beta he truly is, because he is not on that grind set and looking to move up in the world. But Mr. V is like, do you know how much money I just won? I could hire like 20 of you, which is a lesson to us all not to be loyal to companies. They can treat you like literal family and say you're the best employee they've ever had, but they will replace you in a week. There's more to this story though, because the police have been investigating the attempted murder of the champion and they haven't gotten very far, but to be fair, it has only been like an hour. But Wrangler comes up and is like, it's kind of suspicious that Cruz wanted to be a racer so bad and then the champion got poisoned, giving him this opportunity. So the cops are like, Cruz, you're gonna have to come downtown with us. But Lugnut, our ACAB king, says, where's your evidence? This is circumstantial at best.
Hey, officers, do you have any evidence, perhaps?
So the cops say, well, we've got this tire track as evidence. But Lugnut pulls out the tickets, remember that Wrangler ran over earlier, and tells them they might want to investigate a certain shiny black race car. But he says shiny black race car in a weird voice, and I can't figure out why. What does it mean? Wrangler is then arrested for his crime, while Cruz gets to go to the winner's circle to accept his trophy.
Oh, the Wrangler got wrangled.
So at the very end of the movie, Cruz is going to live his dream of being a race car, and Coop even gives him a little kiss, kind of an uncomfortable kiss if I'm being honest, and says he won the race and her heart. He never actually confessed his feelings to her, but now he's kind of an alpha, so maybe he doesn't have to. He's a famous racer now, and he's gonna be drowning in undercarriage. Final thoughts, I do not recommend this movie. It's about half the length of Rockadoodle, but in preparation for that video, I watched that movie like 3 times before even actually scripting. For this one, I watched it once. because I was literally cringing at the idea of having to sit through it again, so I just started writing. There were definitely parts that I liked, like the puns, as I mentioned. I think some of the foreshadowing was clumsy, but some was decent, like with the tire tracks. I can see the vision there. But overall, the awkward pauses, the repetitive dialogue, the sexy car.
Oh, those headlights.
You know what? Everyone should watch this movie. Oh, and by the way, this is actually the first video in a series. There's like 8 of them. So let me know if you want to hear more about these little cars and their big adventures. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye! This is actually a turkey breast. I picked up the wrong thing at the grocery store.